Hello and welcome to Forward Boldly. I'm your host, Christine Niles. Great to be back with you. Visits from beyond, ghostly encounters with souls in the afterlife and what we can do to help them. In 1789, in the city of Wodek, Belgium, a young man named Joseph Leleu was awakened for 11 consecutive nights with frightening sounds in the middle of the night. Didn't know what they were, but 11 nights in a row, be awakened by frightening sounds. On the 12th night, which happened to be June 21st, 1789, he awoke and he saw his mother standing in the room. His mother had died. And his mother started to scold him because she had left in her legacy that masses would be said for the repose of her soul. And he had neglected to have those masses said. She also reproached him because he was living a wayward life, was not living a good Catholic life. Now, before she left, she came to him, touched the sleeve of his white nightgown, and the burning imprint of her hand was left on his sleeve. And interestingly enough, you can actually see that nightgown today in Italy, in Rome, just a short distance from the Vatican, at what they call the Chiesa del Sacro Cuore del Suffragio, which is the Church of the Sacred Heart of the Suffrage. There's a little museum inside the church dedicated to the holy souls in purgatory. And they have exhibits of these unearthly visitations from souls beyond the grave visiting us and interacting with us. And you can see this nightgown with the imprint of her hand burnt onto his sleeve. Why was it burnt? Because the understanding is that the souls in purgatory are burning. They're expiating their sins, and they're burning with the same torments of hell, except those torments come to an end, unlike in hell. It's a fascinating little museum. I would love to go visit it next time I'm in Rome. Let's share an anecdote of another exhibit there. This is from George Sheets. His brother Joseph appeared on the last night of the year, 1838, New Year's Eve, to his little home in Sarrabes in the area of Lorraine in France. And his brother Joseph told him that he was in purgatory making expiation for having not led a life of piety while he was on earth. Before he left, he touched George's prayer book and left the burnt imprints of his fingerprints on George's prayer book. And again, that's something that you can see in this Museum of the Suffering Souls in Purgatory. Another exhibit that you can see, a copy of The Imitation of Christ that belonged to a woman named Marguerite Demerlet in the Diocese of Metz. And these fingerprints, the fingers burned onto the copy of her book were actually left by her mother-in-law. It was one night, Marguerite saw a woman walking down the stairs with a sad countenance. She asked the woman, "Who are you?" She didn't recognize her. And the woman responded, "I am your mother-in-law who died in childbirth 30 years ago. Go on a pilgrimage to the shrine of Our Lady of Marienthal and have 2 masses said for me there." Marguerite asked her for a sign, and that's when the mother-in-law placed her hand on the copy of her book, The Imitation of Christ, and burnt her hand imprint onto the book. Again, you can go and see that in that museum. And all of this was documented by her parish priest. Now, for those of you watching who are unfamiliar with the doctrine, the notion of purgatory, according to Catholic teaching, the communion of saints consists of the church militant, the church suffering, and the church triumphant. Now, what is the church militant? Church militant is basically we here on earth striving spiritually to overcome our sins and in order to make it to heaven. It has to do with this ancient concept of the Christian soldiers on earth doing spiritual battle to overcome our own sins, to strive to become saints in heaven. And that is what the church triumphant is. The church triumphant are the saints who have overcome. They've won the battle. They are victorious. And now they are perfected in heaven and stand in the presence of God. That's the church triumphant. And then we have the church suffering. Those are the souls in purgatory. They're expiating for their sins that they committed on earth. Now, I want to clear away some misconceptions. First of all, those souls in purgatory are forgiven. They're forgiven their sins. That doesn't mean, however, that they don't still have temporal punishment for the sins that they have to work off. Here's a rough analogy. Let's say a bad child takes a stone, throws it at his neighbor's window, and breaks it. Okay. The child is contrite later on, goes to the neighbor, apologizes for breaking his window. The neighbor forgives him. So the child is forgiven. But we still are left with the matter of the broken window. Someone has got to fix that window. It doesn't magically fix itself. The child's forgiven, but the child, in reparation for his sin, goes and fixes the window. That is a rough analogy and can be compared to the expiation being made by the souls in purgatory, the temporal punishment that they're still working off for their forgiven sins on earth. Now, one thing that exorcists will talk about is they'll make the distinction between demons and ghosts. There's a lot of confusion out there. Some people think they're the same thing. They're not the same. Ghosts, as we typically understand them when it comes to perhaps, we see things in a house that's supposedly haunted. Usually, those are souls visiting from purgatory. For whatever reason, God has allowed certain souls from purgatory to come visit us here on earth. And usually it's because they want help. They need help from us. So they shouldn't be treated as curiosities. You see these sort of ghost hunter shows where people are bringing their equipment and their cameras and all that stuff, and they try to catch ghosts, and they treat them as a curiosity rather than praying for them, which would be far more useful. In fact, I know of cases where someone was experiencing, particular hauntings in their home where they're seeing these, what they're calling ghosts, coming to them. And they start praying for them. They start praying for them regularly every single day, offering masses for them. And after a while, they're gone because that's why they came. They came seeking help. You offered them the help that they were seeking for, the masses, the prayers, and then they were released from purgatory and able to make it to heaven. So instead of treating them as curiosities, we should be praying for them. That does have to be distinguished from demons. That's different entirely. Those are malevolent entities who desire to harm you. And so they will act in such a way as to harm, to cause terror, to cause fright, and to cause evil, bad, malicious things to happen in your home. That would not be the souls in purgatory. Souls are there to ask you to help them. And so by all means, pray for them. Help them so they can be released from purgatory and go to heaven. Now, the saints and doctors of the church say that the sufferings in purgatory are tremendous. They're beyond our understanding. In fact, they are as bad as the sufferings in hell, except the difference in purgatory is that they come to an end. The souls in purgatory suffer all the torments of hell, but those torments eventually come to an end. And in that, they have hope. So in a sense, the souls in purgatory can be also considered saints, even though they are not yet perfected and completely purified of all stain of sin. They will eventually be united to God and be perfected and stand in the presence of God forever. So they can certainly be considered saints. So we talk about building the Catholic economy, which means supporting our fellow Catholics and their businesses. Well, I want to tell you about an app. It's called Catholic Owned. If you're a Catholic and you want to find good Catholic businesses run by devout believers, check out the Catholic Owned app. They make it easy to do business with vetted companies owned by practicing Catholics. The app features hundreds of Catholic businesses of all kinds, local and national, and the app is adding more and more companies all the time. It is completely free to download and to use. By using it, not only are you supporting Catholic businesses, when you sign up, you'll get a complimentary copy of the 2024 Catholic-owned Christmastide shopping guide, along with exclusive discounts with the 36 featured vendors. Christmas is coming up, so it's perfect for shopping for everyone on your list, from your family to your friends to your parish priest. Just go to catholicowned.com, that's catholicowned.com, to learn how you can download this app and start shopping. Be sure to use the code Stella Maris at sign up. Again, that is catholicowned.com with the code Stella Maris. Sign up, start supporting Catholic businesses. And what's very interesting is that it's also said that the primary suffering that the souls endure in purgatory is from love. It's from love. They're given a vision just for a moment of God before they go to purgatory. A brief vision of the glory of God. They get to see him face to face for just a moment, and then it's taken away. But in that one moment, the fullness, the intensity of God's love is communicated to them in an incomprehensible way. And it's so deeply imprinted upon their souls that they spend the rest of their time in purgatory suffering, yearning, desiring with a burning desire to be back in the presence of their beloved, back in the presence of the all-encompassing love of God. And so, yes, they are expiating their sins through that love of God. And they regret their sins. They regret all the things that are now keeping them from returning to their beloved. It's actually a very beautiful thing. It is a great act of charity to help the holy souls in purgatory, a tremendous act of charity. We have to remember, while we're here on earth, we have the power to help expiate for our sins. We can reduce the temporal punishment for our sins through our own prayers, our own mortifications, going to Mass, going to confession, receiving the sacraments. But the souls in purgatory cannot do that. They are utterly helpless. The time of that expiation is over. The moment that you die, that's it. Once the sentence is set, it is set, and there's nothing you can do about it. They rely entirely on us to help them. And we can help them through our own prayers. The prayers that we offer can help reduce the time of their temporal punishment in purgatory. It can bring them relief. It could bring them consolation. It could reduce their time. It can even help them get out of purgatory. You can kind of think of a rough analogy. Let's say you're walking through the desert, burning heat under the sun, and you see a man on the side of the road in a cage. He can't get out of the cage. And just beyond his reach, there's an ice cold bottle of water, and he's dying of thirst, but he can't get that water. You can walk over there, pick up that bottle, and give it to him. It's a very simple act, easy to do, and you bring him tremendous relief. And that can be likened to prayers that we offer for the holy souls. And it can be as simple a prayer as, "My Jesus, mercy." That took about 2 seconds. And yet that little prayer can bring tremendous relief to a holy soul in purgatory suffering. And we can offer so many of these prayers for the holy souls, and we can help so many. But how often is it that we even remember them? We are more like the person walking along and not even aware of the individual in the cage who needs water. We're not even aware. We ignore them. We're immersed in our own little things. We're self-focused on our own life and own activities, and we just keep walking on. Meanwhile, that person continues to suffer. And that really is like the holy souls in purgatory, and that is like how we are. The vast majority of us completely ignore the holy souls. We don't even think about them. We don't think about the sufferings that they're going through. And we should. We should start thinking about them. And we should develop a devotion to the holy souls and remember them in our prayers every single day. Again, how hard is it just to offer a little prayer? "My Jesus, mercy." Offer that up for a holy soul, and you help that person tremendously. There is an anecdote about Padre Pio, the Italian wonder worker and saint, who was graced with the ability to see the holy souls. And so they would actually visit him often, and they would ask him for prayers and masses. And there was one occasion where a soul from purgatory came to Padre Pio and asked for a mass. And Padre Pio said, "Okay, I'll get to it tomorrow." And that soul shrieked, "Cruel!" And the reason that he shrieked that was because It would have taken very little for Padre Pio to offer him a Mass right then and there and help relieve, possibly even end his suffering. Because Masses are the most powerful prayers that you can offer, because it is God. I mean, you're offering to God Christ himself. There is no prayer more powerful, more efficacious than Holy Mass. It would have been easy for him to offer that Mass and possibly help that soul out of purgatory, but instead he said, no, I'll just do it tomorrow, which would have meant tremendous suffering for this soul that continued on. And it wouldn't be, I mean, they don't count time there in the same way that we count time over here. The pains that they're suffering constantly make the moments feel like hours, weeks, months, years. One priest put it this way. He said that, let's say you stub your toe and it's horribly painful. Well, in those few moments of horrible pain, it doesn't feel like a few seconds. It doesn't even feel like a few minutes. I mean, it feels like it goes on and on and on, right? Because you're in so much pain. Well, that's kind of a rough way of thinking of how the holy souls are enduring their suffering. To them, it's not minutes to minutes the way we experience here, because they're constantly in pain. And so it feels like it's much, much longer. And so for Padre Pio, it would have been, oh, it's not a big deal. Do it in the morning. For that soul, it was a huge, massive deal, because it would have meant tremendous suffering. Now, I assume, after he called him cruel, I assume Padre Pio probably went ahead and offered him Mass right after that. And the souls are so incredibly grateful for our help that they will repay us at the hour of our death. It is said that the hour of our death is the most painful moment we can possibly endure. And part of that is because the soul is being ripped from the body. The soul and body are meant to be together. They're not supposed to be separated, because that is what man is. We're a composite of body and soul, not separate. At death, the soul is being torn from the body, and it is said it's supposed to be totally agonizing. But on top of that, in that moment of complete and total vulnerability, the demons seize that opportunity to attack. So while you're undergoing this horrible agony of your soul being ripped from your body, you're also suffering from these demonic attacks. And now it is said that those souls in purgatory that you've helped while you're here on earth will come to your aid at the moment of death, that God allows that to happen. So the more souls you've helped here on earth, the more souls will come to help you on your deathbed. That's a win-win. And on top of that, the souls in purgatory can also intercede for us in this life. Now, we have the treasure trove of the saints and their intercession, but don't neglect the intercession of the holy souls. Their prayers are also very powerful. I want to share an anecdote from Pope Pius IX. He chose a particular holy pastor to be appointed a bishop in a particular diocese. The priest's name was Father Tommaso. Father Tommaso did not want to be a bishop in a diocese, so he kept begging the Holy Father, please don't appoint me a bishop. I don't want to be a bishop. I just want to stay a simple parish priest. I don't want the headache, the trouble, all of that comes with being bishop of a diocese. And the Pope did not relent. He would not listen. And then the priest tried again, saying, Holy Father, I have a horrible memory. There's no way that I could administer, and govern as a bishop with a terrible memory. It's best just to let me be a parish priest. And this was Pope Pius IX's response to him. He said, your diocese is very small in comparison with the universal church, which I carry on my shoulders. Your cares will be very light in comparison with mine. I too suffered from a grave defect of memory, but I promise to say a fervent prayer daily for the holy souls, who in return have obtained for me an excellent memory. Do you likewise, dear Father, and you will have cause to rejoice. So, a couple things we can take from this. Here the Holy Father is telling the priest, turn to the holy souls and ask for this particular intention, and they will obtain it for you. Now, offer prayers for them. Offer prayers for them. And they will repay that with their gratitude by obtaining a particular grace for you. In this case, the case of Pope Pius IX, it was a good memory. But it could be anything. Same for you out there. Take advantage of the prayers of the holy souls. Again, they're powerful. They can obtain graces for you. So if there's a particular intention that you are wanting here on earth, as long as it's in accord with the will of God, you can ask the holy souls to help you. Obviously, pray for them. Have masses offered for them. Say your prayers for them, light blessed candles for them, and then ask them, could you please obtain this grace for me? And you'll probably be surprised by how efficacious and powerful their prayers are. The beautiful thing about all this is that one day, God willing, if we have the grace to get to heaven, we will be able to meet face to face all those souls that we have helped here on earth below. We'll be able to meet all those souls in purgatory that we somehow helped with our prayers, perhaps even helped release them from purgatory into heaven. What a beautiful day that will be. The communion of saints. It's a glorious, glorious thing. What a beautiful thing it is to be Catholic and to be in the love and the grace of God. Remain always in that grace. Develop a devotion to the holy souls. Pray for them. Remember them in your daily prayers and ask them to help you. One day, God willing, we'll be all united together in the tremendous and incomprehensible love of God for all eternity. Thank you for listening, and in the words of St. Joan of Arc, in God's name, forward boldly.